Guess what? I'm here in the morning. I'm gonna do at least 12 hours. Show you guys how it's holding up day 2 with primers. Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be doing a review on the new L'Oreal Infallible up to 24-hour foundation in a powder. So this is a full coverage matte waterproof foundation in powder form. So I did already record this video. I've already done a full 12-hour wear test. Originally what my plan was for the video is to do a good 12-hour wear test. Now in the first video, which I'm still going to show you, I'll show you day 1 of testing. This is day 2. So in day 1, I did not use a primer, mainly because it's a powder foundation and it had claims to be up to 24-hour wear. I just wanted to see what it could do on its own. But there were a few things in the end of the video, at the end of the day, that I just wanted to see if it would perform even better with a primer. So today I'm back and I'm going to be doing another test with primer and with setting spray, just to see if, when I properly prep my skin like I normally would, does it improve? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you day 1. You can see what it's like applied without a primer. You can also see how it wears without a primer. I also give a lot more information about the product. Then I will come back and show you today's wear test. So I'm going to do primer and I'm going to show you throughout the day. I'm also going to do setting spray. So we'll see how this baby can hold up day 2. If you guys are interested in this product and seeing how it holds up with and without primer, then keep on watching. So this is relatively new. It is a definitely hyped up product and I thought I would give it a good wear test today. Today, guys, guess what? Today, guys, it is 9:39 in the morning. I'm here in the morning. I've got my coffee and my son's upstairs with my husband. So if you hear little footsteps, that's what's going on. It's the best I could do. Yeah, so I thought I would come in here in the morning while I had the chance so that I could give it a really, really good wear test. I do really, really love powder foundations for a more natural day, or some powder foundations can be pretty medium to full coverage. They can give, still a beautiful finish. So let's just go ahead and get right down to it. So this is supposed to cover like a liquid foundation, mattify with no cakiness. It's supposed to be more affordable, obviously, and more long wearing than the leading prestige powder. So let's test that out. I'm going to do at least 12 hours and I will update you throughout the day to let you guys see how it's looking. Okay, so I have my moisturizer and my SPF on, but I am going to skip primer. I typically do primer for foundation reviews. I think it just helps. Like, I wear it with my favorite foundations, but because this is a powder foundation, it has such great claims of being long wearing. I want to see what it can do on its own, but I will be honest with you, I think all foundations look better with a primer underneath. So what I'm just going to go do is put concealer on, and then I'll come back and we'll do this just because I have a liquid concealer, and obviously you want to put your liquids on before you put on your powder. It can be different when it comes to like cream and liquid blushes. There are certain situations where you can put, but like especially concealer, you're going to want to put that on before. Okay, so we're back. I feel like my eyes are so puffy compared to when I normally film because I just woke up like an hour ago. So yeah, just ignore that. I did use the Pat McGrath Labs concealer. Let me just swatch this. This is in the shade 10 Porcelain. So it's that right there. As usual, I have other swatches on my hand from yesterday. This is the powder foundation in Porcelain. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good match. I think it's going to be too dark for my under eyes, so I'm just going to go ahead and set my under eyes with my clean, fresh pressed powder just under my eyes, and the rest of my face I'll do the powder foundation, especially since we're looking a little puffy this morning. I really want to brighten that area. And yeah, I'm just pressing it in with the sponge. Let's go ahead and try this. Now it comes with this little sponge, but let's just see what it does. I'm going to do the sponge on this side and I'm going to do a brush on that side, and I'm kind of pressing it into the skin to get like the most coverage. I'm going to see how long it holds up. How much coverage can we get from it? So far it's looking pretty good though. I don't like this sponge. I'm going to go ahead with my beauty blender. Yeah, that's picking up a lot more product. It is looking very nice and smooth on the skin. Somebody with acne prone skin and who has acne, any full coverage foundation is not as full coverage as it would be for somebody with clear skin. Like sometimes I watch people's videos when they're like reviewing foundation or whatever, and I'm like, no, like I have to apply 2 layers and I still don't get coverage like that just because I have so much redness and acne. So this, even though you can still see a lot of the scarring through, is actually really, really good coverage. And I'm just building it where that blemish is. And like right here, I have a lot of like unevenness, a bit of scarring. So I'm building it a little bit there, and it did build quite well actually. I think it looks very skin-like as well for a powder. It doesn't, it's actually looking really smooth. I didn't apply a primer, which I normally would. It's doing a really fantastic job. I'm gonna come up close so you can see the difference between this side without it and this side with it. So it's looking really great. Let's go in with a brush. So I'm gonna use the foundation brush by Real Techniques, which is quite dense. Okay, so I think they look pretty even. I do have to say with the sponge, I think I got more coverage, which is typical for me. I do feel like it kind of packs it on a little bit more. Almost all this coverage is coming solely from the powder foundation, which is actually incredible. It's really evened out tone. It's really concealed almost everything. I definitely think it's a good medium to full coverage. I think it is buildable and it's looking incredible on the skin. It's not emphasizing texture. It doesn't look powdery. It doesn't look cakey. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup and come back. Right now it is 9:55. So I'm just gonna say that I finished the foundation at 10 o'clock. I just went ahead and finished up my makeup, and this is how the foundation is looking with a full face. Obviously didn't really change much about the foundation, but it's looking really, really good. I think it's pretty good coverage. I would say that it's a good, really high medium. It's looking very natural and smooth on the skin, and I'm really happy with it so far. So let's see how it wears today, and I will check back in with you guys in a little bit to show you guys how it's wearing. Guys, so it is check-in number 1. It is 2:07, so it's been 4 hours and 7 minutes. So it is actually looking really good. Don't mind this inner corner here. It looks awful. I tested a new liner. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's the L'Oreal Super Slim. I've been testing some liners, and this one I'm not a huge fan of. It bled like insane in the inner corner, so it's been making a mess. But that's not what we're talking about today. The foundation is actually looking really good. It's looking really smooth on the skin. I definitely think it has pretty good coverage, and I think it's sitting well on the skin. I'm definitely interested to see what it would look like with primer. So obviously I will continue to test it after today. So I'm back, and it is 9:35. So I know I didn't go the whole 12 hours, but I'm only 25 minutes short, and I think we have a pretty good idea of what this is doing right now. So as you can see, it's quite shiny. I have definitely developed quite a shine. I do really, really enjoy the coverage, the way it sat on the skin. I don't think it emphasized texture. It didn't sit on the hairs. I didn't notice any oxidation. And I think it looked really, really, really nice. It did not get cakey when I applied it over top of the concealer. It looked incredible. I was extremely happy with it. It was a matte finish 100% when I applied it, but I did feel like it wasn't super ultra matte. Like it was just a kind of a soft, natural matte finish. And I do think by the 4 hours, it still looked pretty matte, but it still looked healthy. It did not dry any, skin. It didn't cling to any dry spots. It was looking incredible. It was looking a little bit more shiny. It had started to break down a little bit around the 7-hour mark. Within the last few hours, it's definitely gotten a little worse. The reason I'm probably so shiny right now is I just vacuumed and washed my whole entire floors in the last hour, put my son to bed, I was physically sweating. That being said though, I did not wear primer today. I do honestly believe that that is why this is so shiny right now. So I definitely have to test this with primers. Oh, we are really shiny, guys. I have mixed emotions because I absolutely loved it for the first 8 hours of the day, first 7 hours of the day. And then things started to go a little bit downhill from there. I also feel like if I touch my skin, do you see this finger mark thing that's going on? Literally left a finger mark. Yeah, I'm not loving the way that my makeup's looking right now. I do have to say I'm looking not the best. So as you can see, like it's broken down around my nose. It is looking a little cakey in here, and it's looking a little bit cakey even on my forehead. Like I'm like oily, like ooh, greasy. If you're looking for a foundation that's gonna last 12 hours, this isn't the one, I don't think. Maybe with a primer and setting spray, it can go the distance, and that'd be great. Did it live up to the claims? Not necessarily, but is it still good and did I still enjoy it? Yes. So that's basically how I feel. I know that was like really rambly, but we're here. So what I want to do for you guys is just show you what it would look like if I were to touch it up, because it's looking quite cakey right now. And I want to see if I were to touch it up, would it make things worse or better? So number one tip I'm going to say is if your foundation looking very greasy and oily and cakey, then I recommend blotting the oil off first before you touch it up, especially if it's a powder foundation, because it's going to have more coverage, and typically powder foundations are going to make things look cakier than like just a translucent setting powder, although that can as well. When you apply powder on top of like excess natural oils, it's going to look cakey. Like I guarantee you I would look awful if I just put powder on top of this. Now, if you take a blotting paper, honestly, you can use Kleenex. I just had them on hand, so I'm gonna go ahead and just blot. Oh my goodness, look at how oily I am. Okay, so now that we're blotted, this is what we look like. Yeah, we're looking cakey. Oh, it's definitely looking patchy and cakey. Like it just lifted completely right here. Yeah, like it's not the perfect experience, I will admit. I would have liked it to turn out a little bit better considering how I look now. The reason that I am so positive about this product is because it looked honestly incredible until like the 8-hour mark, and 8 hours is a decent amount of time for a foundation to look really, really flawless. So I do think this has a lot of potential. I have to test it with primer. I honestly think that that's going to make a huge difference, and I'm just going to pat it where I feel like I need extra coverage or even more like blotting. So this can either make things look a lot worse or a lot better. I have a feeling it's going to cling and get cakey in there, but what can you do? We're here and we're testing it. What I'm noticing is anywhere I put concealer, it looks cakey. Whereas the rest of the face is actually looking like really, really good after I've touched it up now and like blotted it. So yeah, I really, really, really love this. I'm having a hard time saying that it didn't turn out that great because of how much, like I'm not exaggerating when I said I fell in love with this for the first 8 hours of wear. So it's kind of mixed emotions. Okay, so here we are, day 2, and we're going to properly prime the skin as I normally would. I'm actually going to start by applying eyeshadow primer, which is the Hourglass Veil Primer underneath my eyes. I actually did a video on this. This just helps with my creasing. It really does help prevent creasing. If you're interested in that little tip, then I will link the video below. So today I'm using my Hourglass Veil. I do just have the mini one here, but I really like this primer, and I do feel like it does help somewhat mattify the skin. And guys, day 2, it's only 9:11 right now. If you hear anything upstairs, that is my son once again. And also don't mind my eyebrows. I meant to wax them last night and I did not. So we're gonna ignore that. We're off to a great start. I'm gonna go ahead off camera and apply my concealer just to save some time. And I'm gonna come back and we will do the second day of application of the Infallible 24-hour powder foundation. I'm gonna just go ahead and set my under eyes with my Laura Mercier, but I will definitely kind of blend it in. I just wanted to set it with this first. Okay, so now let's go ahead with this. I really enjoyed the coverage with my Beauty Blender, so I'm gonna do the same. Like, look at how good that is. It looks so incredible on the skin. I'm really pumped to see what it's gonna, turn out to be like with primer on. I'm hoping it'll wear, the full day. If it looks less shiny today, that would be really cool because, I would typically wear primer anyways. That was just more of like a test. I am putting it on the eyelids right now because I'm probably not going to be putting eyeshadow on today. I think I'm just going to do like a really simple mascara. You know what? I'm going to have to say, I think this is like medium buildable coverage. But if you just put a little bit of concealer underneath, then I think it would be pretty full coverage. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I'm not like upset. A lot of times my acne does poke through. I'm not really the one to like really worry about that. I will sometimes just leave it. But if you are one that likes the most full coverage, I don't think this is like new, like face spackle, like really crazy. But again, with concealer underneath, like I didn't put a lot of concealer on. So I think if you wanted really full coverage, just make sure you're concealing, you know, under eye circles really well and your blemishes, but just make sure you really are blending the concealer out so that it's not really heavy underneath the powder, because that will be when it would get cakey. So I'm really happy with how that's looking. I'm just kind of going over with the excess under my eyes just to add that little bit of extra coverage, but I'm actually really happy with this, and I'm excited to see if it performs a little bit better with primer underneath. My skin is definitely looking really smooth. I'm gonna show you up close. That primer does minimize pores slightly, but it's not like a pore filling primer, so I think the powder is kind of smoothing, and it really, as I mentioned, day one, doesn't accentuate texture. It doesn't look cakey. It looks very thin on the skin, even though it gives you pretty good coverage. Like a really high medium coverage. Like I think it's just shy of full coverage, just because I'm not seeing it cover those blemishes, but I think it's pretty darn good for a powder foundation. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and finish up my makeup. I'm gonna do something really simple, and I'm gonna go about my day, and I will check in with you guys, and I will be doing another 12 hours. It is now 9:22, so I will come back around between 9 and 9:30 tonight, and I will show you guys how it's holding up day 2 with primer. Guys, so it is 8:42, which means I'm 40 minutes short of the 12-hour mark. I'm really sorry, but I'm about to put my son to sleep, and I'm tired. I had a long day, and I really just want to wash my face. So I think we got a pretty good idea though, especially after doing 2 days. I do have to say today is looking better than the first day. We have a lot less shine. Don't get me wrong, it does get quite shiny even with my Hourglass primer. I'm very excited to continue to test this product, as I did really enjoy it, and still even enjoy it, even though there's some things about it that I can nitpick. With primer on, I think it looked just as smooth, if not smoother on the skin. I am excited to test it with other primers, maybe one that's specifically for mattifying. Maybe that would help as well. I did go ahead with the Gerard Cosmetics Slay All Day, which does help with oil control, so I think that also is the reason why we're a lot less shiny as day 1. Obviously, still some shine. We got some shine in the T-zone. It's not completely transfer resistant, as it did wear on my chin, but I will, to be fair, almost every single one of my foundations does that. I also have some wear on my lips, but I was rubbing my lips because I was trying to clean them after eating dinner without like actually rubbing my face. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some gloss because I like feel like I look funky. I think overall I am really happy with this product because I do think it applied really smoothly to the skin. I think it built well. I think it looked very thin and natural and weightless on the skin. It didn't look powdery, it didn't look cakey. I do have to say, I feel like over top of concealer is where things get a little tricky. So I did apply a little bit of concealer here under the eyes, down the bridge of the nose a little, and underneath the nose, and then a little on the chin, which I normally would. So I do think sitting on top of concealer, it has the potential to get a little bit cakey. Especially once my oil started to poke through. So once my oil started to poke through at about 7-8 hours, just like last time, I did feel like it started to look a little bit like it separated a little bit around the nose. So we got some lines, and we do have a little bit of caking on the bridge of the nose, which is something that can happen. It is a little bit disappointing because I feel like even with primer, it is starting to break down, like I'd say by the 8, 9, especially the 10-hour mark. Like I would say right before I ate dinner, I really started to notice I felt a little bit more oily, but it's definitely not as bad as day 1. So I do think primer and setting spray are going to help you tremendously with prolonging the wear of not only this foundation, but also any foundation. Even though it didn't, necessarily hit those claims quite, I do think it's a really stunning, lightweight, medium buildable coverage powder foundation that's going to be more natural on the skin, not very heavy, a very quick way, because it's kind of a 2-in-1. You don't have to go in and set your foundation. If you are wondering, did it live up to the claims, then my answer would be no. So if you were looking for a 24-hour full coverage matte foundation, then no, this isn't what you're looking for. Ultimately, I really actually enjoyed this, but I did want to put out there that it isn't necessarily living up to the claims, just in case that was really, really important to you, and maybe that would deter you from purchasing this. I did want to kind of put that out there so you're aware. But honestly, it really performed beautifully. Like, I felt like when I wore this, I actually, like, when I look at myself in the mirror, I would actually be like, ooh, that looks really good. Like, my skin looks so smooth. And I think that you will enjoy it if, you know, taking into consideration what I just said, if that still intrigues you, I think you will really, really enjoy this. So that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful day. Bye.